First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my half-brother use the land I inherited as a venue for his wedding? I'm male 36, got married in 2017. My wife and I are not rich, and we couldn't afford a fancy wedding, so my dad hosted my wedding at his house. Mom and dad are divorced, and I lived with my stepdad and half-brother for years. We didn't invite a lot of people. Again, we couldn't afford a huge menu and more chairs and tables. But my mom insisted that I invite my stepdad and half-brother, and we did. Everyone was happy and excited for us, except my stepdad and half-brother. My half-brother openly made comments about the tables/chairs and made fun of my cheap suit and wife's wedding dress. Complained that the food was ordered from a crappy restaurant, while his dad was laughing out loud from behind. My in-laws were literally staring as he basically called my wedding a joke. Not to mention trash-talking my dad and saying that he was living in filth and the backyard was in fact a dumpster. I was so mad and my wife looked so upset. And we both were so embarrassed because he and his dad were both laughing and being rude. My mom did nothing. I tried to be civil, but at that point, the wedding was already ruined. I got contact with them both after they made my wedding a crap show. Mom said I overreacted and defended them, saying they were probably drunk. My dad was hurt as they openly offended him at his house. Unfortunately, my dad passed away 1 year later. It was devastating, and it was a lot for me to take. Neither my stepdad nor half-brother showed up at the funeral. I don't know why I'm not surprised. I inherited a piece of land from my dad that I put money on and made it a nice place for family get-together. Dad's family, to be specific. My half-brother is getting married soon. My mom showed him pictures of my land and he suggested using it as a venue for his wedding. So my mom called and told me to visit. I went to see her and I saw my half-brother there, along with stepdad. I was already leaving when he asked me to use the land I inherited from Dad as a venue for his wedding. He went on about what decorations he was going to use, and he said his fiancée saw the pictures and liked it a lot. I told them no. My mom told me to stop being rude and sit down and talk like an adult. I told them no, I won't be letting him use my property after what he did. My mom defended him, saying he didn't mean it and was just messing around. He ruined a once-in-a-lifetime event for me and didn't care, so I still refused. I got into an argument with them, and I left after I was called bitter. My mom never stopped texting telling me to help out my brother. She shamed me and called me selfish. She's now reaching out to my wife, telling her to convince me to agree. I was surprised his answer wanting to talk to me about it as well. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your stepdad is a bully who raised his son to behave the same way, and your mother is an enabler. You have absolutely zero obligation here, no matter how many flying monkeys they send in. Not the a-hole. Also, letting someone use your property as a wedding venue is a big ask. Where will everyone park? They will likely need portable potties, tents, lots of electricity, landscaping. Large trucks will need to drive through your property, garbage removal and cleanup, and on and on. Even if you miraculously end up not having to take care of any of it, you will need special insurance, possible leak or licensing, and they will need access to your property for at least 3 days. And there will be damage to your land. You cannot have that much activity on any property without some damage. Not the a-hole. You don't owe your brother anything, especially since you aren't close and he couldn't even attempt to show empathy for your loss or remorse for his hateful comments that clearly hurt you. The fact that my mom is actually trying to talk to my wife about it shows how much she disregards my opinions and my boundaries as an adult. He knows what he did and feels no remorse. And his dad too. Not the a-hole. Your mom sucks. I'm sorry. Mom definitely bites moose farts. Not the a-hole. And hope you should just go no contact since the mom and the family feel so entitled. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my in-laws the whole story about my family? I, 24 female, met my husband in college. We got married 2 years into our relationship. I met his parents the first Christmas we spent together, and I have a pretty good relationship, I would say. They asked me that first year about my family, and I told them I didn't have one. This is kind of true, but not technically. You see, I was the product of an affair my father had. My mother was an addict and OD'd soon after I was born. My father and his wife took me in, but I was treated as less than by everyone in the family. It didn't help that I was born into the middle of their family. I have 4 older siblings and 3 younger half-siblings. None of them wanted me in their lives because they were all told I was the product of an affair. My father was forgiven though. His wife made sure the kids didn't blame him, just me. My grandparents didn't want to lose my father and their other grandkids, so they kept quiet, and her family never had any reason to accept me. I was kicked out before my 18th birthday and was kinda alone. A friend's family took me in, and they're the reason I did go to college. But I don't have family. I never told my in-laws this, and they assumed all my family had passed away. I never corrected them or gave any kind of truth to them, until they found out it wasn't quite true. After a childhood friend made a post about my family on Facebook, and my husband's family saw it. They asked what that was about, and were hurt I would at least be a bit more clear that the people were still alive and just not good. I said I found it easier not to talk about it. My husband's sister is the most angry because she claims I lied to them, and anyone who claims they don't have families claiming they lost them. My husband told them and the rest of his family that I didn't owe them my story. Am I the a-hole? I feel bad now for not making it a little clearer. I wasn't expecting it to hurt their feelings. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You don't have to tell your trauma to everyone, even your husband's family. It's up to you when you share certain stuff, and you clearly did feel the need to share this horrible part of your past. Your family, though, they're big-time a-holes. Yeah, it has taken almost 5 years of therapy for me to not blame myself for what happened with my biological family. For a long time, I was so sure it must have been partly, if not mostly, my fault. I'm very sorry to hear that you originally blamed yourself, even 1%. You are no way, no how, to be blamed for the actions of petty and hateful adults. I'm so glad you no longer blame yourself. The last thing you need is to yet again take responsibility for the poor and abusive choices of your family. Not an a-hole. You don't owe them anything, and it sounds like your husband is understanding, so that should be enough. It is your story to tell, that's it. Hopefully they will get over it with time, but it isn't your job to make their feelings feel better. If you feel comfortable explaining and want to, that's great. Otherwise, your husband can tell his family you aren't going to talk about it until you're, if ever, ready. Not an a-hole. I completely agree with this comment. You shouldn't have to tell them anything you don't want to. I had a brother who passed away when I was 15. I started dating my partner at 18 and have been with him for 7 years. I am still yet to tell his family about my sibling, and he respects that completely. This means that I have had to lie to his parents in some situation, but I simply don't feel comfortable talking about it or having people know. I do hope that if they ever find out, they'll be more understanding than your in-laws were. Your husband is right. I'm sorry that another family showing some ugly colors to you. Not an a-hole, and I hope your in-laws wise up and mind only the business you're comfortable sharing with them. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not including my sister in a family photo? I, 32 female, got married 4 years ago. My younger sister, 30 female, didn't attend because my wedding had a no children condition. At the time, my other siblings, 4 older brothers, 1 older sister, also had young kids, but all of them attended my wedding. My younger sister was the only one who chose not to. Her son was 14 months old at the time. She didn't want to leave him. I tried to accommodate by saying I could book a hotel room. I got married in a hotel ballroom, so that she could leave her son with her mother-in-law in the hotel room and check on him regularly. Her mother-in-law didn't mind, but my sister refused. I also offered to pay for a babysitter, but that was shot down as well. She didn't seem to want any option other than bringing her son to the wedding. She ended up not attending my wedding. My wedding went off without a hitch. Aside from her, everyone else from my family was there. I even had cousins, uncles, and aunts who traveled in from different countries to attend my wedding. After the wedding, I went no contact with her. She tried to pretend like she didn't skip the wedding and that our relationship would go back to normal. Obviously, it did not. The next 3 years, we did not have any communication. Last year, we reconciled after our dad begged us to. She apologized and said she was suffering from extreme anxiety and didn't want to be away from her son. We buried the hatchet and moved on. On to the issue. My husband and I are finally buying a house, so I went and printed several of my wedding pictures to put up in the house. I printed a picture of my parents and siblings with my husband and I on our wedding day and framed it. It is going on our living room wall. My younger sister isn't in the picture as she didn't attend the wedding. She is upset because she was excluded in the picture. She wants me to Photoshop her into the picture, and I said no. If she wanted to be in the picture, she should have made the effort to attend my wedding. I have already printed the pictures and don't want to reprint. Adding her in by Photoshop may compromise the quality of the pictures. Those are the reasons why I said no. She claims that I'm punishing her by doing this. I do have other pictures of her plus our family that I'm intending to put up in the house, but my wedding pictures are my favorite and the main attraction. My family have mostly stayed out of the drama, but my older sister did say she thought I was being petty. Am I the a-hole? After the wedding, I went no contact with her. You went no contact with your sister because you chose to have a child-free wedding and she chose to stay with her 14-month-old instead? Yeah, you suck. Big time. Don't have child-free weddings if you're not prepared for people with children and reasons for not wanting to leave their children to not come. I printed a picture of my parents and siblings with my husband and I on our wedding day. My younger sister isn't in the picture as she didn't attend the wedding. She's upset because she was excluded in the picture. She wants me to Photoshop her into the picture and I said no. This is, in a word, completely freaking ridiculous. You both qualify for that adjective. Everyone sucks here. Both of you need to get over yourselves. Talking about life is too short. I've seen a few posts here lately of I had a child-free wedding and I'm angry at the people with kids who did not attend. It doesn't work that way. You can choose a child-free wedding if you want, but that means there are consequences of people who cannot attend, especially people with kids under 2. I think the sister is being a bit absurd with the Photoshop request, but OP is much, much worse. You're the a-hole. I was going to say everyone sucks until I read your responses and I decided you're way worse than your sister. A wedding invitation is not a summon. People, especially people who are suffering from anxiety and other illnesses, are free to decline. You had the right to make any conditions on attending your wedding that you chose. Invitees are free to decline. You are clearly still stuck on your wedding as the event of the century and still making an issue of the fact that your sister didn't attend. Her wanting to be photoshopped into the picture is ridiculous, but I bet these pictures are another stick you used to beat her up for not attending your wedding. Get over it. Hey, her wedding is now the main attraction in her new house. All other family pictures will go up, but are trash compared to her in all her glory. This wedding will live forever this way. /sarcasm. Everyone sucks here. You are absolutely allowed to have a child-free wedding. However, you really can't get offended if people with children then choose not to come. Going no contact over it makes you the a-hole. However, the reality is she wasn't at your wedding, and expecting you to change your wedding photo also makes her the a-hole. A wedding is usually a once-in-a-lifetime event. If someone chooses not to attend it, does send a very damning message that they don't care about you. I respect her reasons for not attending, but I still felt like she didn't value our relationship as sisters and was very hurt over it. We're okay now. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for stealing the spotlight at my best friend's wedding? So 2 days ago, my best friend contacted me to be her wedding singer. The original one cancelled on the last minute because he had a tonsillitis, and the wedding would be tomorrow, yesterday. So I accepted it. I can sing, but I'm into upbeat music, so I asked her if it's fine to sing pop. She said she actually preferred if I'll sing pop music. She even requested to make it explosive that she will suddenly forget she's being married. So since she's a K-pop fan too, and I recently just learned a new one along with the choreography, I decided to perform that instead. It is called Can't Stop Me by Twice. It is a high and loud song with very hard choreography. So the performance happened. I gave it my all. I sang energetically and showcased my explosive dance moves. Her groom, however, didn't like it. Actually, most of the visitors, who are mostly groom's relatives, didn't. His mom even scolded me in private, saying I ruined the solemnity of the event. My best friend apologized because she didn't expect that her in-laws and husband would hate it. But I think it is her right to ask for the song she wants because she's the bride. But then the groom is also a part of this and he also deserved what he wanted. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I didn't know wedding receptions were meant to be solemn. Thought they were supposed to be a big party to celebrate. No, I think you're confusing them with funerals. Maybe it was a funeral for the groom's mom? She even requested to make it explosive, that she will suddenly forget she's being married. Info. Yikes. Maybe the friend meant that it should be so awesome and would like they're at a concert the OP is putting on, not just the wedding singer crooning away. I hope so anyway. Yeah, my friend dislikes serious ambience after all. Actually, she really didn't want a solemn wedding and wear a wedding dress, but she had to follow the tradition. Not Hal. You did what your friend asked, and neither of you expected the response that happened. It would be a different matter if you deliberately performed it, knowing it would be disapproved of, but you didn't. You were just trying to help out your friend. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for locking myself in the bathroom and having a very long bath, causing my husband to have to entertain his own guests? Hello. Well, I was not expecting to have to ever post here myself. What a complete 180 that is. I will keep this as short as I can. My fingers are still very wrinkly. Worth it, and it feels very strange typing. My husband often invites his work colleagues for dinner and drinks to our home. I do not mind this, but he always expects me, as his wife, to cook, clean, serve drinks, and entertain his guests as he mingles around. I have never attended one of these evenings as a guest. I'm always the one in the background and keeping everything afloat. After one of his last social evenings, I told him flatly that I would not be entertaining his guests anymore. I will not be a bar or a cleaner. I told him that he doesn't understand how much work goes into an evening like that to make it as successful as they have been. Well, he practically laughed and waved me off, and said he can handle these things himself anyway. And so this evening came around. He made sure I knew about it more than usual. I believe he remembered our last conversation about the topic, and assumed I wasn't serious. Well, once his colleagues started arriving, I took my phone, laptop, a bottle of champagne and camped out in the upstairs bathroom, having an absolutely wonderful bubble bath. He came up at least 6 times throughout the evening, asking when I'm getting out, that he doesn't know how to keep everyone entertained, that he has too many drinks and meals to make. All I said was that he should have done some prep work like I always do, and I reminded him how he said what I do is easy anyway, so he shouldn't be struggling. The evening ended, and he has an absolute go at me, telling me how disrespectful I was towards him and his colleagues by leaving him alone in all this. I remained quiet, and only reminded him what he told me about how easy it all is anyway. He called me a string of very colorful words, and went to sleep in the other bedroom. Am I the a-hole for holding my husband to his beliefs about how easy hosting an event like this is and letting him do it himself? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That's hilarious. Good for you. And it sounds to me like he's mad because not only was he wrong, but because he just assumed you'd ask how high when told to jump. Yes, I definitely surprised him today. People always say to keep things new and exciting in a marriage. Haha, love that sass. Keep being awesome. No matter what anyone says, you are not a a-hole and you did it with style. Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Not a a-hole. Good for you. Once he gets over being mad, hopefully he recognizes what a jerk he was being. Oh yes, I hope so too. Thank you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not doing my husband's laundry? Background. He, 26 male, works full-time, about 50 hours per week average. I'm 25 female, a stay-at-home parent, also work part-time and I'm in part-time school, 10 credit hours. He tends to keep a large pile of dirty/clean clothes on the floor on the side of the bed that he pulls from to get ready. I've also established a dirty clothes basket in the closet and he knows about it. This morning, he's getting ready for work and is pissed because he can't find any clean work clothes. Me, I caught up on the laundry over the weekend. Him, I have all these dirty clothes on the floor. Me, oh, just put them in the dirty clothes basket that's in the closet. Him, what's the difference between getting my clothes from the closet and getting them from the floor? Me, because everyone's dirty clothes goes in the basket, and it's not my job to clean up your dirty clothes off your floor. It turned into a mild argument. I told him he's entitled to think I'm going to pick his stuff up off the floor. He told me because he's never here. He works 7 to 5-ish Monday to Friday, so this is not true. I have a better opportunity to pick up his stuff and wash it. I feel bad that he doesn't have any clean clothes, but also I'm not the maid. Edit. I feel like I'm an a-hole because I called him entitled. Also, it's really not hard for me to pick up his clothes from the floor. It doesn't take much extra time to do it. However, it's the principle. If he left dirty dishes in the living room instead of the kitchen sink, I would be just as pissed. Added to, we have 2 kids, 5 and 1.5. 5-year-old is virtual learning. Also, to clarify, this became an issue when he said I should be able to pick up his clothes for him off the floor. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I work full-time, and I also manage to do my own laundry. I can accomplish this amazing feat as well. She's only asking him to put his dirty clothes in the basket, not leave them on the floor. He's an idiot if he thinks this is the hill to die on. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I do the same thing to my husband. If it's not in the basket, then I'm not washing them. I can think of a few reasons it might be better to have a put the clothes in the basket rule. I have a hearing device, and occasionally I will put it in a small container in my pants. If I go for a run and have done this, then I will take my pants off, hop in the shower, and then deal with the device and pants. It would suck if the device got tossed into the washer. Not saying it couldn't happen if it's in the dirty basket, but I think it's less likely. Of course, my long scenario aside, it does boil down to being respectful to one's spouse. Not the a-hole. You're not a servant. His time isn't more valuable than yours. You're his wife and partner. If he can't put dirty clothes where they go, he can do his own damn laundry. And entitled is probably the nicest word you could have used. I'd have chosen a much meaner one. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not trying harder to tell my husband I was in labor? My husband, who I do love and does love me, is a distant and private person to everyone. His mom was having health problems, and I didn't know until weeks later when I spoke to her. I asked him how she was doing later, and he said didn't know. That's just how he deals with things. He doesn't want to get too personal with anyone. We share hobbies and can have good conversations as long as they're not too personal. It can be off-putting, but I do genuinely enjoy his company. I jumped to this last week. I am pregnant and went into labor. It was only a few days before my due date, so nothing concerning. I tried to call his work, but his phone went right to voicemail because he was in a meeting. I texted him. Still no answer. I waited a half hour, then tried again, and still couldn't get through. My labor was getting further along, so I called a friend to get a ride to the hospital. By the time my husband checked his phone at the end of the workday, I had already given birth to our daughter. Everything was very straightforward, with no complications, and we were ready to leave by the next morning. My husband is upset with me though, saying I should have come by his work to tell him it was time. But he has always been distant about work. I know what department he works in, but not where his office is in the building. It would have been awkward. My husband has told me what I did was unforgivable. He hasn't called me an a-hole, but he said I am a horrible person for denying him the joy of seeing our daughter born. Am I the a-hole for not trying harder to contact him? Info because a lot are asking. I did text specifically that I was in labor. I left a voicemail to the same. I panicked a bit and didn't call his office because he likes to keep work and home separate. Which means I don't know a lot about his work, and I was worried I would overshare to his co-workers by calling, and him not checking his phone. That is a part of his work-home split too. He doesn't deal with anything work-related at home, but also just put his personal phone out of his mind at work. It is rare for me to get a response from him at all while he is at work on a normal day. Now for the top comments. He expected you, a person in labor, to come to his work to find him and he had his phone off, instead of silence or whatever, when he very much knew that you were days from your due date? Not an a-hole. Your husband is just clueless. He needs to have been better in general about paying attention. When your wife is getting within 3 freaking weeks of her due date, it is up to you to keep your phone on you at all times. This wasn't a surprise baby. He knew it was coming. And once you are within a week of the due date, it can really come at any time. The person carrying the baby already had enough to keep track of and do. The partner only really has to check their damn text messages. I can't imagine what his coworkers would have thought if his wife showed up in labor and was all, "My husband won't check his phone. I'm expected to go get him," and then proceeded to have a baby in the front lobby because she didn't take her butt to the hospital. I promise you, people would tell that story for years, and everyone at work would consider him an a-hole of the highest order. Was coming here to say this. I'm sorry, but he was an idiot about this. My husband works in a large factory. I don't have a work number for him, just his cell. So before I had my last 2 kids, we had a plan in place in case he didn't answer. I had numbers of 4 different co-workers of his that could track him down if necessary. The fact that neither of you thought about this possibility is mind-boggling. But ultimately, it was his responsibility to say, hey, here's how to reach me in an emergency. My husband works in mining and isn't allowed to have his phone on him during his shift. From 7 months, he had a special clearance to keep his phone on him, and I had his supervisor's phone number. This husband is a massive A. Not today, Hal. Your husband let you down. He wasn't there for you for the birth of your child that is making it about him. He has twisted this. Not today, Hal. Not only that the husband is being selfish for expecting her, going into labor by the way, to drive by his work and go to the hospital all while she's in immense pain and blaming OP, when it's not her fault at all, and she can't control when her baby is born. Besides, she tried calling him and he didn't answer. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out after what he did? I, male 28, lost my late fiancé in 2018 in an auto accident. It was hard for me to process this sudden change in my life. It took me time to get in therapy. My sister helped me with it, even though it was already late. I was advised to get into a group therapy, and I did. 6 months ago, I met a guy, Jason, who also lost his partner. We started talking outside of therapy. We'd meet at different places, and he started introducing me to a few of his friends who went through the same as me and him, and I was told I'm welcome in the group. The guys do a lot of activities together. I started taking part in their activities, attend events, and do bonding activities. We'd gather every Thursday night, play video game or talk. Jason is the one who comes up with plans and activities for the guys. I noticed all 4 guys have gotten the same tattoo. When I brought it up, they said the tattoo represents the group. I decided to wait after Jason suggested I get one as well. They've mentioned that none of them wanted to meet people and start over. The issue started when Jason saw me talking online with my new girlfriend. He asked about it and seemed upset, but I told him this was just a friend because I didn't want to tell him much, so he dropped it. On Valentine's, the guys made plans to spend a night in and play games. I told them I wanted to go to my parents' house, and they said okay. I came back to my place at 8 p.m. I was surprised to see Jason there. He had a spare key, but I expected him to be with the guys. Jason looked upset. He said he was there to pick up his laptop and saw the gift my new girlfriend sent me in the morning. He asked why I didn't mention I have a girlfriend who's sending me gifts. He said I lied to the entire group and disrespected them. I was stunned when he said he threw the gift in the trash can because what I was doing was disrespectful of my late fiancé's memory. I lost my cool on him. I yelled at him, told him he had no right to try to dictate my life and get involved like that. We argued for a few minutes, and he said he hoped I'll be able to sleep at night for doing this to my late fiancé, then left. He had guys calling and texting hurtful things, calling me a liar and a manipulator. Went on about the commitment to not disrespect our partner's memories, and that I needed to make things right, or they won't be welcoming me into the group again. Thing is, Jason supported me a lot. I remember when he was the only one who had time to hear about my issues even outside of therapy. He went through a lot and lost his wife and brother the same year. From what I understand, he's a sympathetic person, and so I trusted him and the guys as well. But I find what he did unacceptable, and the way he keeps stomping over boundaries got me stressed out. Not Day Hall. Are you sure you didn't accidentally join a cult? Glad I'm not the only one whose cult alarm bell started ringing. The tattoos in particular. Very unhealthy behavior when they control what others in the group do. Everyone has a right to grieve as long as they do, but it's wrong to force that on others. OP not Day Hall. What the crap? You need to cut contact immediately. Get a restraining order and change your locks. Not Day Hall. He went to your place when he knew you weren't going to be there, and snooped through your stuff and destroyed your property. And he also actively wants to prevent you from healing from the loss of your partner and finding happiness again. Maybe you shouldn't have lied, but I'm guessing you did so because you had an inkling of how he'd take your dating. That guy needs more therapy. Sorry about your old friend group. I bet now you can find a healthier one. It sounds like he's trying to create dependency and establish control. Not Day Hall. Are you sure Jason and his friends aren't a weird cult? This whole thing sounds amazingly unhealthy at this point. It may have been helpful when the wound of your fiancé's passing was fresh. Right now, he's invading your privacy, impeding your recovery, and destroying your property. You're not an a-hole for kicking him out, and I'd also be rekeying these locks. Even if he gives the key back, you never know if he made a copy. No, I know them well. They treat me well, but Jason is the only issue. He knows that I feel uncomfortable sharing everything with them, but he keeps pushing me. The key was returned. I'm not sure whether he has a copy. I haven't talked to the guys face to face yet. Maybe this was a misunderstanding, because I don't see why he reacted like this other than overstepping boundaries. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.